Hey, welcome in, y'all. I'm Bones the Woman. I am a Dead by Daylight killer main streamer on Twitch, Kick, TikTok, and YouTube. I also play other horror themed games, such as we recently played She Was 98. Very cool game, very scary. I have the full playthrough on my YouTube. Go ahead and check it out. It was actually incredibly funny because I wasn't scared at all, not one bit. But today we're going to have conversations in the fog about this game, and I have my good friend with me here today. His name is Sanguivorous. He's going to be joining us today and discussing a few topics. Yeah, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Sanguivorous. You can maybe pronounce your name a little better than me. I'm a little slow sometimes.
Of course, of course. Good evening, everyone. I'm your co-host, Sanguivorous. I'm a longtime Dead by Daylight player since 2016, Prestige 100 Unknown main, as well as a jack of all trades when it comes to most of the killer roster. I play 70% killer and 40% survivor. And I would just say for now, um, yeah, it's just called Sanguivorous, so you actually did it pretty well.
Good, good. Perfect. Yeah, he's gonna be streaming soon, y'all. So like when he does, don't best believe like I'm gonna be tagging you all in it in the Discord and all that good stuff. It's gonna be great. This guy, he has beautiful mindset. Today we want to talk about three topics. The first topic we're gonna talk about today is why we see the same killers. Why do we see the same killers? And even why do we see the same perks run on the same killers when you're playing Dead by Daylight? I don't know if you guys like feel this way, but like I constantly see people like, oh, it's another ghoul. Oh, it's another nurse. Oh, it's blight. Oh, it's this. It's just the same small roster of killers you see every day. And I understand like a lot of survivors are sick of it, but have you ever stopped and wondered why? Why you see the same killers every time? Do you understand like there's a cause and effect on a lot of things, right? If you can't play certain killers because of the way that this game is right now, obviously you're going to be playing the killers that are going to give you the most fair chance to win, the strongest killers, because you can't play every killer for a while. Once you get to a certain MMR, it's just impossible to play certain killers. It's literally miserable. Like play Ghostface in a high MMR P100 full Swift team. Like it's just gonna be absolutely miserable, absolutely miserable.
And I already know there's going to be at least one person in the comments trying to argue that things like running the same meta perks, like your corrupt, your DMS, your pain res, your pentamento, your pop, and whatnot. All the meta perks. Everyone knows the meta of DPD now. Like you don't need to run these, and you also don't need to camp or tunnel or slug to be in high MMR. And the reality is, yes, you do. In fact, it's actually built around that. If people if behavior themselves wouldn't want people to tunnel or slug or even use like broken perks, or I wouldn't even say broken because like at the end of the day they're not really broken, they're just kind of strong, then there wouldn't be built-in game mechanics encouraging everyone to do this. And I find it ironic too how most of the complaining that comes from the survivor player base, now of course it's not every survivor, I just want to preface that, um, for the actual like chill survivor mains, you guys are awesome and are a really huge part of this community, and I appreciate every single one of you. However, there's no denying the fact that there's a loud minority of you guys who are very, very entitled. And I think that mainly just comes down to the fact that, well, there's just a really big problem with tribalism in this community as a whole. And all sides are guilty of doing this at least once in their life. And if you say that you aren't, then I don't believe you. Everyone has had some form of tribalist take over their time in Dead by Daylight. It's just a part of being in this game for so long. If you play DBD for more than a week, you're going to have some takes that seem inherently tribalist.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I honestly like to add on to that. Like honestly, you survivors who like just absolutely like kick the killer's butt, but you're super cool about it. Honestly, You guys don't understand how much that means to us. Like really, because usually when it's like so one sided during a match and like the killers, the survivors, they just rub it in your face. It just throws salt in the wound, you know. But when you guys are a good sport about it, like seriously, you guys are the best. You guys are the best part of this community, you know, because you don't have to be toxic when you're when it's that bad of a win. Like come on, like we're all human here, you know. I tried, you tried, GG's. I try not to be toxic to survivors, because for the the ones that I do see that aren't toxic and they just they're cool about it, especially at the end game. I put much respect to that and I try to like add on to that with other survivors, but it's just not always the case.
About to the question of why do we see the same killers? Why do they see the same perks? Why are we so sick of seeing killers like Nurse, Blight, Ghoul, etc.? I think the answer really just boils down to a lot of people who play this game, both killer and survivor alike, don't actually want to improve at the game, or at the very least, care about improving at the game. I see so many complaints on both sides of a lot of things that really aren't issues to begin with in the context of any other PvP game. But then when you look at the DVD community, suddenly there's a bunch of these like made up rules and all of this nonsense about like how it basically boils down to just you must hamper yourself to reward my idiotic play. Like, yes, I know I made a lot of mistakes that round, but I should still be rewarded with a second chance every single time I do. Otherwise, you're toxic, you're a terrible person, and whatnot. Why does everyone in this community take everything so personally? I never understood that. If you tried, like, let's say for an example, Overwatch or For Honor, Dark Souls, even, if you put like the average entitled DVD player in any of those games and just have them start doing the same things as they do in DBD, they would be laughed at and kicked out of the community within the first 2 minutes of them doing it.
Exactly.
Like, can you imagine if somebody who plays DBD, like these like entitled survivor players who play the game, they booted up For Honor and they got their first ever gank, and then suddenly they're like, "Oh, you're gank spamming, fucking gankers."
Yeah, it's
Like
insane.
it's ridiculous.
It's the
But
only
why is
game.
it so normalized in this community? Like everyone already sees this game's player base as a joke. There, I have so many firsthand experiences of people when I tell them I play this game, and the first thing they say is not the game's interesting or anything like that, or like they have genuine issues in it. I was like, no, this community is terrible. This community sucks. Why is this community so toxic? The fact that this player base is mainly known for its toxicity instead of actually being passionate about the game is a genuine problem.
I agree. I agree, and it's it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny you say these things because like I also agree with everything you said. Especially with the entitlement, the invisible survivor handbook that you got to play by. Like they literally like to brainwash you into thinking that playing suboptimally is the way to play when it's not. You know, we want to win too as the killer. We want it's like slugging intelligently. Like I get it, it does suck for the survivor, but I've never played a game where one side is worried about how the other side feels while playing. like imagine like doing that in For Honor. Like oh my god, you would. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. It's unheard of. And it's pretty funny you said that too about this community like and how like people just know it for its toxicity, because when I first started streaming I was saying to my friend like I'm thinking about streaming some Dead by Daylight, and he goes, no, don't do it, Bones. I'm like, what? No, dude, it's awful. It's awful. It's god awful. I'm like, nah, how bad can it be? And here I am. Here I am. And honestly, he was right. He was right. He was right. But I'm already committed. I'm committed. I'm doing things on the side now, like other horror games and stuff like that. But yeah, it is insane. But for the reason, what I believe why we see the same killers, in my opinion, is because once you get to a certain MMR, like some killers, if not most of them, are just not competitive enough. They're not strong enough. They're too weak, especially when you go against survivors that know what they're doing. Like there's a lot of players that have thousands of hours in this game, And especially if you're a survivor main, you should know at that point how to counter every single killer, you know? So you can't play a low tier killer against a P100 10,000 hour survivor with comms and all that. You're just gonna get your butt kicked because he's gonna be running the best perks. He's gonna be doing the best plays, the best dodges, all that other stuff. So you're gonna want to run the strongest killers. Like Nurse, because she's really powerful with her map control. She can go through pallets. With the pallet density increase, like it doesn't mean nothing for Nurse. For Blight, he's really powerful because he's fast and he can traverse. Like all the best killers in this game have map traversal, pretty much, or map pressure. Um, like the character you see in the background right now, Singularity. Like he's like A tier or bottom S tier killer, not because like his map traversal, but because his map surveillance and how he can get around the map. But the reason why no one ever talks about him when we bring up Nurse and Blight is because if you run EMPs pretty well, then he's just an M1 killer. But a lot of killers, like, they're just not playable at a high MMR. You just can't. You can't play a Skullmaster or a Skull Merchant, whatever her name is. Like you can't play her. I don't even care about that killer. Like it's just unplayable, just absolutely unplayable. Like these low tier killers are just, you're just gonna lose. You're just gonna lose. So you're forced to
But
play the same killers. Like Ghoul. Like obviously Nurse, Blight, Dracula. This the same killers over and over again because you want to have a fair chance to win. A fair chance to win.
yeah, and I actually think it's very interesting too because a lot of the people that complain about seeing these killers so often, like for an example, Ghoul. Ghoul is probably one of, if not the most hated killer in Dead by Daylight
Yep.
currently. And when you really boil it, like when you actually start to look into why people don't like the killer, it usually just boils down to Ghoul is one of the only killers that actually forces you to learn how to play the game. You can't just put on windows of opportunity and have the game play for you. You actually have to be unpredictable. You have to know how to loop properly. You have to actually know what you're doing. And that's why Ghoul is considered a boring, skillless killer. And then the hit scan mechanic is just added salt to the wound to be like, even though hit scan is one of the most popular video game mechanics that's been in video games since as early as the early 2000s, because uh, of something that I think truly does affect this community that I will get to later. It's so rampant and normalized that people just forget like this is not the only video game out there. And as for like when people say like they're sick of going against the same perks and whatnot, the same killers, like Bone said, there's not really too many options when you really think about it. And it's sad too because if you actually look at how many killers there are in the game, we now have over 40. We're going to get our 43rd, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in May. And then we're getting our 44th later on down the road of year 10. And you would think out of a game that has 40 killers or 40 plus killers, there'd be a lot of diversity. There's a lot of things you could do. I mean, hell, they literally say that they want to make the game be a game of endless possibilities and play styles instead of genuine, like, pure balance. But yet, half of the roster isn't viable or even playable on a majority of maps. And this is because of a lot of things, whether it be due to gen regression perks being nerfed into the ground so that way only a few of them are actually useful, or things like the palette density update that just gutted every single non-mobility killer into the ground. Coupled with that and the fact that most new maps are typically on the larger scale of things and don't really have things like tall grass for Trapper or line of sight blockers for killers like Deathslinger, why would you ever want to play any of those lower tier killers in the perspective of somebody who's newer to the game? Obviously, me and you are want to play these killers because we just like playing these killers. Like I am somebody who really loves Trapper. Like Trapper, if Unknown wasn't my first P100, it would have been Trapper. When I first got the game, Trapper was my first ever killer that I picked up. But even then, I still know the killer is terrible. Like he really is bad, and there's a lot of problems that need to be fixed with Trapper. And anytime you bring it up, there's always people that, for some reason, get nervous about it. But I'll talk about that later. Back to the topic at hand. Why do you see the same killers? Why do you see the same perks? It's because, to put it simply, due to years of complaining from the opposite side, a majority of the perks that actually gave killers a fair chance or a fighting chance of gaining pressure on the survivors were nerfed into the ground because of an overwhelming amount of survivors complaining, which is actually something a lot of newer people don't know about. Like when I hear people complain about seeing like DMS, corrupt, and all of these other current meta perks in the game, I always laugh to myself because like they cause all of this. Like the meta is there because of people like them. Slugging and tunneling wouldn't be so rampant if there was more options that could be experimented with. Because yes, there are some killer perks that, on theory, actually sound really useful, but then when you put them into practice, they're just not that viable. Like I think a perfect example of this could be Ravenous. Ravenous on paper actually sounds like a pretty good idea until you remember that half of the killer roster can't use it effectively because it requires you being able to get back to people quickly. And there's not even a guarantee that you'll even get value out of the perk because, it goes off the moment you hook the fourth survivor.
Yeah.
And it only lasts for a certain amount of time, too. So unless you're playing somebody like Dracula or Singularity or even Vecna 1, you're not going to get too much value out of it.
Yeah, no, I felt that. I felt that a lot. Like I love the Saw franchise. When I saw the Saw franchise killers when was in this game, oh my god, I was so excited. I was so excited. I played Pig for a long time. Very fun. And then I started getting to high MMRs, and it just went all downhill there. I'm forced to play killers. I don't even care about because I want to win. Like I would love to just play Pig, Also, give me a John Kramer skin with his voice lines and give me the theme song. Oh my god. Mwah. Please. Please behavior. But yeah. Yeah, but no, I think you summed it up pretty nicely on why you see the same killers. It really does go down to that. Survivors have forced our hands. The way we play, the perks we bring, the killers we play as. It's literally the effect the effect that survivors do. They usually complain about certain things. They ask for certain things to change, and it causes us to play a certain way. Like, like I don't want to get into that just yet. But certain things that happened recently made our job even harder. So like the best thing to do at the time was to slug, and you guys hate slugging. Survivors hate when killers slug, but we were forced to. We were forced to because we didn't know if someone had a particular perk, and I think you know the perk we're talking about. But yeah.
The disastrous 9.3.0 MTB
Yeah, but I think
that
we.
literally gutted Pinhead for no reason.
Yeah. Oh God.
And people still complain didn't make it to live, by the way. I still see people complaining about that.
Uh, I think we covered that one pretty well. I think we should move on to the next one, which was
I will say this before we move on. This is the
yes.
last we'll talk about why we see the same killers. I just find it very interesting how the people who complain about seeing the same killers and the same perks that these killers run are also the same people that run the current survivor meta.
Oh my
Like
God. Yes.
it's always the people that run Gen Simulator 24/7 that have the most to say about what killers are using or how they play. And I don't understand it. You cannot, in good faith, call anything the killer does boring when your entire build revolves around you pressing a button down and watching paint dry. Like, I don't get that. And then it's
Sprinters.
so normalized. Like, how, like, you're literally upset that the opposing side wants to win and is doing everything in their power to try and win, but you're doing the same thing, but suddenly it's okay and it's just normal for you, but when the killer does it, it's toxic. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I say it like this. Uh, for the survivors, it's rules for thee, but not for me. I always say that.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, that was good. That was good.
All right,
Number
moving
9.
on to the next conflict.
Survivors don't loop anymore. They just go to the next pallet, and it's not skill. It's just convenience. You know, like every once in a while, like when I actually see a survivor loop, is usually the higher levels too. Um, Most of the time, when I actually see a survivor loop, like, and I mean just go around the same, like, the same little loop area, like the pallet, like using one pallet, the same pallet, going around and just basically killing time for the killer. Because eventually you are gonna have to be hooked. That's just part of the game. When you're being chased by the killer, your main objective really isn't like not really to get away. Like that's gravy. That's a bonus, if it happens. But you're mostly just kill time, waste the killer's time, and a good looper will do that. Whereas a bad looper, just goes to the next pallet, chasing survivor, drop pallet, break pallet, go to the next pallet. Survivor drops next pallet, then next pallet, then next pallet. It's not skill, it's convenience. Oh, pallet right here. Okay, and then there's a window right there, and then there's another pallet, and this one's a god pallet too, by the way. I hope you like that, killer. It doesn't encourage skill. It's just convenience. It's just convenience.
No, you could actually tell the huge difference of a survivor that genuinely knows how to loop and a survivor that is only looping you because they're running windows of opportunity. And the best way to test it is to see how well they play on unsafe loops. Like for instance, any corner palette on the map, like for an example, those little like just the little square boxes with the one pallet on the very edge of maps like Auto Haven Wreckers or Coldwood Farm that just have one pallet but no tile. If they can play that pretty well, then their chances are they actually know what they're doing. Or even if they're on a shorter loop, like the the shelves inside of the Gas Haven map and main building.
Mm-hmm.
If you can loop that pretty well and actually gain distance from it, as well as being able to use things like the window in front of you, or even go out the back entrance with uh, actually being able to outplay the killer, then yeah, you can tell they're good at looping. They know how to play Survivor. But if you take somebody who it only beats you at loops because they're abusing loops that are straight up unfair for any non-mobility killer, but just because they have windows of opportunity, they tend to have the worst pathing of all time the minute you take them to an unsafe loop.
Yes.
I cannot tell you the amount of times I've gotten downs not because I did something amazing with any of my killers, but because they just had the worst pathing of all time. I think in general, windows of opportunity as a perk is a good idea in concept, but it's just terrible in execution. I actually believe that they should they should completely change the perk entirely to do something different, or they should make it a base kit feature but only last for a certain amount of time. Like let's say at the start of the match, for I don't know, let's say 12 seconds you get the value of windows of opportunity, but then it immediately goes away like lethal pursuer.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny you say that too about their pathing is terrible once they leave that area because usually the common thing I see is they immediately run to a dead zone. Like that's the first thing I see every single time after like I get them out of that area. Um, but I do think that certain perks just allow like it's just they allow the survivor to play with like half their brain shut off. Like you don't really need to be. This game doesn't encourage skill play when you're playing as a survivor. You just need the right perks. You
Oh
just
yeah, and then things like the pallet density update, which I've also noticed this too, and I don't see many people talking about it. It seems like every iteration of 2v8, they slowly start adding some of the pallet density on 2v8 into the base game. The best example I can think of this is Father Campbell's Chapel, the Clowns map. Because tell me why there is three filler pallets right outside of Shack with a jungle gym loop that has two windows as well as three more pallets that are actually decent loops. How is that good game design? And even the idea of the pallet density update in general makes no sense because at the end of the day, it was made to prevent dead zones from being so rampant. But you have to realize if you're playing killer and you constantly are breaking pallets, there shouldn't be super like eventually you're gonna have to go down at some point. There should not be this abundantly long chases in this game, and I truly believe it's because of like people like that. Like dead zones are supposed to happen, but they usually happen because the killer makes a right play and they created one or they made space to make one, and the pallet density update just rewards really bad plays for no reason other than the fact that there are more pallets on the map. And they didn't even take into account what perks like Windows of Opportunity would actually do in conjunction with the pallet density update. And every single 2v8, they always increase it slightly without ever telling anyone. And I've noticed it the most on maps like that, Crotus Pren, a good majority of all of the Trapper maps. Like there are so many unnecessary pallets that are added because there are some people who play this game that genuinely believe that like there should just be more pallets, like that they should never have to go down if they're playing really well. Eventually, even if you are a good looper, you're gonna go down to a killer because that's just part of the game. So even the idea of eliminating dead zones doesn't make sense because the entire killer gameplay loop revolves around making dead zones. That's how you get your downs and hooking people.
Exactly, exactly. I think like it might be like entitlement or something for the survivors. It's just like something about them getting down. It just infuriates them. It's like they never want to get down. Like getting down is literally the worst thing that can ever happen to them in their minds. You know. I just feel like they want to get away every time. They want to be able to get away every time, or I don't know, just loop the killer for 5 gens or something. Like I don't know. It seems like it's catered around so like survivors can not be down for as long as possible. With the pellet density increase, like these, oh my god, like certain maps are just absolutely horrible to play. Like I've run into certain locations. Like I actually clipped this once and posted it too. In one field of view, I saw 3 pallets and 2 windows. You know,
Yeah.
good God. And it was just absolutely miserable for me. Because I'm here to get some hooks. And but I feel like this game really just caters to like survivors who just don't ever want to get hooked, and it's like I just don't understand it. It might be entitlement, or how dare you down me, in less than a minute. Like this game is killer sided or something. Like no, dude. Like no, no. Like I think they forget like the original concept of this game. You know, I mean, it's no longer that. I think behavior still pretends it is, but it's not. It was a horror simulator, but now I just think of it as like a PvP game, really. And I think every time a survivor gets down, I think it really irks them. I think it really
Well,
does.
yeah. Look at how pissed they got at the fact that you literally can't be toxic to the new killer, the Judgment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The teabagging. Oh my god, I can't wait to try that killer out. Hopefully it's actually good. But honestly, none of the mechanics that the Judgment have, other than like the teabagging and the toxicity thing like that. Other than that, like it just seems like it's just nothing new really. The killer's not really too unique, in my
I
opinion.
think the most unique thing about the killer, I love the killer. I think it's probably the most unique power we've ever had in a good while. The ability to like actually control it like a rocket missile or like a
Hmm.
heat-seeking missile for your projectile. That's cool as hell. I can't even lie. That's actually tough. There hasn't been a single killer in the game where you could literally control your projectile since Pinhead.
I wish I can get Pinhead. Oh, ah, I should have got him. But yeah, yeah. Do you feel like you have anything more to say for this topic?
I think the last thing I'll say is just that like the things like the palette density update and um have only made like, and granted the whole Windows thing has been a hot topic of debate since before that update ever got added, but I truly think that that update just made it worse and it gets worse every single time there's a like for I don't know. And they said too, they've gone on record saying that they want to try and revert and limit the amount of palette density on a lot of the maps, and they have yet to do it. It's only gotten worse, and I don't understand how. Like you like ideas like this, I don't get how they even get greenlit. Like how this leaves the board and gets pushed into something that is genuinely worked on. because like even the very idea, like it just, yeah, like it doesn't make sense. The whole killer loop of gameplay is eventually somebody has to go down because that's how you're going to get pressure. But now you want to make that harder for killers for no reason. And it's crazy too because this whole thing only ever affects, to the degree that we're talking about, all of the killers who don't have some form of dash or map mobility. So like your trapper, your ghostface, your hell, even Legion or um, Springtrap too is even though he has the doors, like you have to physically walk over just to even get a chance of having mobility. But if you're in a chase with somebody, like it just destroys you.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly I think another reason on why they're like I think they're afraid to do it. I think behavior's afraid to do it because they don't want to upset the survivor player base. You know, because that is where they generate their most revenue, is from the survivors. And I think they just want to keep them as happy as possible. So if they are gonna try to slowly revert it, I think like they would do like a little bit here and there, and then like to see what the fine line is before like survivors are like, hey, and go up and riot and all that. But I really think it's the devs just being scared of the survivors, the survivor player base. They want to keep them happy so they can keep making money. So behavior's happy.
No, that's actually proven too. You know the website Glassdoor, the one
No.
that so Glassdoor is basically like Yelp, but for people who work for companies. So you can make an anonymous post like reviewing your time there, basically like how you would review a restaurant at Yelp,
Yeah.
but like for places you've worked, kind of like a Rate My Professor, but for jobs. And on a majority of the Glassdoor reviews from work of people who've worked at Behavior and no longer work there, all of them have said the same thing, which is that like they've literally admitted that they favor survivors, or that they will market the game and care more about the survivors because they make them more money, because there is more survivor players than there are killer players by statistics. Which, granted, is it the worst like decision business wise? Absolutely not. Behavior at the end of the day still is a business and they still need to make money. But the problem with it is they take their favoritism of the survivors and completely forget about the complete opposite side of the player base that makes up the entirety of the game. If you don't have killer players to play this game, you don't have a game to play anymore. And they refuse to see killer players as an equal to survivors. And I think if they started moving in that direction, this game would actually be a lot better than it is right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I really do agree. I've been saying this recently a lot too. But honestly, I don't know, cause like what happens when like I feel like what's gonna happen is just like so many like killers who are just fed up with this game are just gonna leave and they're just gonna be replaced by new people. They're gonna probably try to get more new people into this game, advertise it, try to get some like big names in this game, some high list killers from different IPs and all that to get like, oh, I want to do that, and just I feel like I think we're just gonna like be replaced, but I don't know how long they can keep doing that because they are some diehard killers, like I'm trying, but like I'm getting like even I'm almost at my limit, like this game is starting to get
No,
to me. It really is.
no, yeah, I truly get that because like, and I'll talk about this in the second part to this video. Yeah, there's gonna be a part two, everyone.
Yes.
Um, but a little teaser for part two. I actually really do enjoy the game. I really do. I think it's my favorite game ever made. I actually really do love this game, and I do love playing killer. But even I'm even getting to my wits end. In fact, I actually took a bit of a break when playing this game around the time that Virtuosa from For Honor was coming out because I was fed up with the whole Walking Dead situation.
Imagine going back to For Honor because it was so bad for Dead by Daylight killers.
Dude, and that's the crazy thing too,
Yeah,
because when
yeah.
I would tell people that too. I like whenever I would like use my mic on my headset to talk to people in brawls. I would try and meet new people on the game, right? And then they asked me like how long I'd been playing for, or like, oh, how come I went back? And I would literally tell them it's because DBD is just fucking awful. and even they're like, no, yeah, that's real as fuck.
That's real. It's the fact that it could have been any game and he chose for honor. Like, damn, that like, come on, guys, please. Like if that's not telling, if that's not telling.
Oh
Um,
yeah, like, or I even had one guy telling me, so you were tired of diarrhea, so you wanted solid shit again.
oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. I like that a lot. Um,
But yeah, back to the topic at hand. That's really all I gotta say for that one. It's just it mainly just comes down to the fact that um like a lot of things like the palette density is mainly just the palette density update
really.
really. But like there's a lot of ever since that update came out, there's now a huge amount of people who play this game, and it's not everyone. Obviously, it's not everyone, but there's a good amount of people who play Survivor like that, where they just don't know how to play Survivor because the game plays it for them. And honestly, I can't even blame them. Like I truly can't. If why would I ever care if I truly never got into DBD and I just like play it casually, like most of the people that the behavior caters this game's balancing decisions around, why should they care about actually trying to improve the game when there's already things in the game built in for them that plays the game for them? Like, why would you ever care about improving your skill at the game or getting better and knowing about stuff when you could just put on windows of opportunity and win every chase?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I that point right there you said where they cater to new incomers because that's where the most money is. Like, yeah, like diehards they'll buy the newest skin and all that, but like for example for me when I first got it, I was like, oh, I like all these killers. I want to play this one. I want to play this one. I want to play this one. Like now I got almost every single killer in this game. There's only two I don't have. Eventually I'll get them just for the sake of having them, but I'm not gonna play them. They're like one of the worst killers in the game. I'm not gonna say who, but yeah, no, it really just goes down to just it's just their when you think about it from business perspective, a lot of things about this game make sense, and I think survivors just don't want to see it that way, and I don't blame them, because they're having a blast. They're having a blast right now. Like if you've never played Dead by Daylight right now, and you like you don't want to play Killer because it's too like anxiety and all that, it is the perfect time to play Survivor right now. It really is. You're gonna have a great time. Is a little small learning curve here and there, but practice makes perfect, and just run the right perks, and it's gonna be really fun for you. I promise you. It's never been a better time to play Survivor right now.
Yeah, and then also too, I didn't even think about this. This is the last thing before I move on to the other topic. I promise. Don't worry, we can cut some of this stuff out for
No,
time.
it's all
But
good. We'll keep
anyway,
it all in.
uh, one thing I will say too is like I also don't think looping in general is like there's just so much second chance bullshit in this game.
Yes.
Like, and half of them you don't even need to do anything to actually get the value out of it. Like you could literally just all you have to do is just exist, and boom, you get a free second chance for just existing. Meanwhile, majority of all of the most annoying or quote unquote boring killer perks, or like the stupid killer perks, the crush perks, all of them have like some form of condition you have to meet before you even get value out of the perk, and half of them don't even guarantee that you will get value out of the perk. Like Blood Warden, you have to
Yep. Yeah, that's a beautiful example.
somehow keep pressure during endgame and hook somebody while they open the gate. I mean, while the gates are open, and do that while under the assumption that they're just not going to leave the minute they open the gate. It really only works great against survivor players that are intentionally trying to make the killer's experience miserable, like bully squads or that one toxic sweat. But if you're going against people who like the minute they open the gates they just leave, like it becomes useless unless you have something to pair with it, like No Way Out or Haywire. Um, Even something yeah, like I said, Ravenous. You have to physically hook all four survivors once before you even get the value out of the perk, and it doesn't last for super long. Friends till the end doesn't always proc, and then you still have to hook people in order to get it. Same thing goes with things like like pain res and whatnot. You still have to hook survivors on a certain hook, and because they're RNG based, you could have moments where the hook that you need to get value out of pain res is on the opposite side of the map, so you have to settle for a normal hook, or the hook is close to you, but the gen that you actually want it to hit on progress is on the complete opposite side of the map.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way he articulates things. That's why I brought him on. He has such a beautiful way of saying. He says things the way I wish I could say it. And that, huge shout out. Huge shout out to this guy. He really does a great job in expressing like just the frustration, and he breaks it down in such a beautiful detail too. I love it. I love it. Um,
I
let
really appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
of course. The last topic of tonight is going to be why this game needs to be killer sided, or why the killer should be the power role. I know this sounds a little crazy. I know this sounds a little crazy, but I do hope you understand that it's a 1v4 and the killer is the power role, right? See, the biggest thing I hear, especially people who are on the survivor side, they say, no, this game's not survivor sided, it's killer sided. And I would be like, no, it's survivor sided, but it should be killer sided. This game should be killer sided. You should be stronger, way stronger than the survivors. It should feel relief that you survived the match, because you outplayed the killer, or the killer did really bad, or like you did something to earn that live, earn that escape, not
The,
just I
the
just brought
killer
the right
should
perks.
the killer should actually feel like a genuine threat that you're actually afraid of being caught
Exactly.
of being caught by during the trial, instead of you like, oh, let's no bully this poor bastard who just got the game 2 minutes ago for no reason other than the fact that they're new.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for killer perks, like I really honestly, personally myself, I don't see a single killer perk that can go toe to toe with four survivor perks. I just don't see it. I don't see a single
They,
perk that we can bring that can.
even the infamous Noed isn't
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, Noed can definitely be very powerful in the right hands, and if you play your cards right, it can genuinely turn a game on the complete opposite side. However, it's a hex perk, and we all know what happens with hex perks.
Oh, I'm just gonna
They're
spawn in the middle of the
RNG
map.
based.
In the
Yeah,
middle
they could
of
just be in the middle of the
the.
map, or they could spawn directly under their under their fucking pubic hairs, and they'll get like boom, they're bye bye Noed.
Yeah, it's really really unfortunate that really I feel like a lot of the hexes shouldn't even be hexes, because I need them to be like regular perks at this point on like how quick gens go. I really think like ruin I hate that ruins is a hex. I hate it. It's what I need. It's what killers need, to be competitive when like all four players, like imagine all four players had deja vu and just one other like gen rushing perk. You're cooked. You're cooked. If they all know what they're doing, that match is going to be over in 5 minutes. And I don't mean the gen's over in 5 minutes. I mean the match is going to be over in 5 minutes. And a perk like Ruin, I feel like it just does a beautiful job in trying to slow them down. A lot of the hex perks in general, like I feel like they shouldn't be hexes. They at this point, like maybe before in the past, sure, but current DBD, I wish they weren't. I wish they weren't, because it feels hard to put actual pressure against a good team, a real good team. And I feel like a lot of people don't actually see how bad it is for killers. I feel like when they talk about, oh no, what are you talking about? This game's killer side. Like no, dude. Like play killer and get to a high MMR. Get to a high MMR in this game, and you'll see just how bad this game is for us. You really will
Not even
see.
high MMR. You just get to an MMR where you're not playing against people who got the game 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah,
You play any like just get into lobbies where people are playing with their friends. Because even if they're not great at being a Swift, any Swift that actually communicates will always have a bigger advantage than the killer. Obviously, you can still win against Swifts and even P100s who also are communicating, but it's going to be a lot more in favor of the Swift simply because they have comms. And then that new update where you can now see everybody's perks as well as the killer the minute they injure somebody, like it's just not a good it's not a good idea because what are stealth killers gonna do I guess fuck Wraith, fuck Ghostface, fuck Sodico,
I feel like they like behaviors like how can we make this game better for survivors? And then
I
like we're
think
second thought.
yeah, being able to see your teammates perks, we should have had that a long time ago for Survivor, but there's no reason you should be able to see the killer at the start of the match.
Like, oh, he's got hex. Okay, okay. Let me, oh my god, I don't know. It gives me a headache just thinking about this stuff. But you know,
And the last and the thing too is I went in response because did want to add on to one of the first things you said where you'll see people say that the game is killer sided instead of survivor sided in response to you providing evidence that it can be very survivor sided in the right circumstances, which tends to be a majority of the people who say that the game is killer sided never have a single shred of evidence to prove it's killer sided. The closest thing I've ever heard people say, and this is actually where I'm gonna where I said that I'll get back to that in a minute at the start of the video, and that is the disastrous 9.3.0 PTB that almost went live. If you were not around or you simply didn't try it out, the anti-tunneling changes were really just the anti-killer changes because all they did was just uh, make it to where any killer that was near, I think it was a 20-meter radius of a hook, it would build up the anti-face camp meter on the hook. The survivors got their endurance increased and whatnot, and it just made half of the killers useless. Basically, every single killer that had no mobility is just rendered useless again for no reason. And then legacy killers like Pinhead, who isn't even in the game anymore at this point, because of the way their power works, they got affected no matter where they were on the map. Even if they were on the complete opposite side of the hook survivor, they could not use their power because it was too close in line with the hook survivor. And people looked at these changes, and a lot of people actually had grew a pair and actually realized, hey, this is blatantly unfair for killer players. It should not go through. So it never went through. But then you still got the entitled ass motherfuckers who are like, oh well, this game's killer sided because they didn't push the anti-tunneling and slugging changes into the game. Like that actually could have shaken up a lot of things and made it a lot more interesting. No, it was bad. It gutted half of the killer roster and made, again, the blight and nurse problem that people claim to have a lot more rampant because they were the only killers that didn't get affected by these changes. But then when you say, I've literally had moments where I've been in people, I'm not gonna name names, but I've joined people's streams on Twitch and whatnot, and they would talk about the game survivor side. So I was like, oh okay, I mean not survivor side, killer side. They would say that the game's killer sided. So I was like, what makes you think the game is killer sided outside of the Call of Brine Eruption gen kick meta? And their answer was always that they didn't push that disastrous mid chapter patch. And then I would tell them why they wasn't put into the game, and then it turns out they never even tried out the actual PTB. They never played a single match testing the changes, and they're over here talking about the game is killer sided because they didn't put this blatantly unfair patch in the game, and yet they didn't even test it. And I see, not even just stream, I see so many people who claim that the game is killer sided because of this one abysmal mid chapter patch that didn't make it through because it was blatantly unfair. But they never have an actual thing of evidence to prove that the game is killer sided. A lot of the things that they say are really outdated, like the Call of Brine Gen Kick meta, which hasn't been a thing in DBD since mid 2023.
Yeah, yeah. Also, like every time I hear a survivor make an argument, survivor main make an argument on why this game is killer sided. A lot of them they just go in one ear out the other ear, but the one that stuck with me the most because it was just the most outrageous claim. Like, I genuinely believe. I can't believe he took this seriously because he actually thought this was the reason why this game is killer sighted. And I'm about to say it right now, but I'm about to hype it up, all right? Because just be prepared. Be prepared, all right? Keep an open mind. This was from a survivor. This was from a survivor main who literally said, Bones, this game is killer sighted. And I go, why? And he goes, well, the killers are faster than the survivors. Oh my god. Oh my god. And he tried to make that a legitimate argument. Like, at least other survivors have like a more like, in depth, like, oh, because of this, because of that, because of the PTV, blah blah blah, But to say like legit, oh, it's because of the killer is faster. I had to break it down to him. I was like, do you understand that if the killer was not faster than the survivor, he would never catch the survivor. And at a certain point, you need to be a specific amount faster than the survivor because you'll still won't catch him if you're not that fast. If you're only slightly faster than the survivor. In certain maps, you're just never gonna catch the survivor if you're just a smidge faster than the survivor. You know, I think about it from time to time. I really do. I really do. And I feel like a lot of the other points that survivors make when saying this game is killer sighted, I think they just hear it from someone else, and I think it might be like sheep mentality or herd mentality. Like they heard someone say this game is killer sighted because of this, so they all just go with it without even actually like looking it up and seeing if this is actually factual. Because like killers, we can bring facts to the table. We can bring factual evidence on why this game is survivor sighted. But every time I hear a survivor try to make an argument, I feel like a lot of the times like they just don't even do the research, or the things they say, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. Like obviously the killer has to be faster. There's better points out there too, but it's just that one sticks with me. That one like I think about
I
that from
still
time to
can't
time.
believe you got told that. Like, holy
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah, no, like seriously, with a straight face, I was like, okay.
Oh my god, dude. Like, I would have just told him to shut the fuck up right then and there. Because there's no way you genuinely think that they should be slower than the survivors.
I think about it from time to time. But yeah, no. It just I going back to top on topic again. The killer needs to be the power role. The game ironically needs to be killer sided. That is the whole point of being the power role. You need to be more powerful. You need to be an actual threat. Like I understand, like this thing right here like trips me out. Like I don't think like, and you guys might find this a little controversial, okay? Okay? But keep an open mind.
I'm
I
listening.
don't think survivors should be so comfortable that they should just like that they could just moonwalk in front of the killer and do their little flashlight thing. Like I feel like that just proves just how comfortable a lot of survivors are with how this game runs with certain mechanics and perks and all that good stuff, that they just feel comfortable of just let me just moonwalk away from the killer. Like are you serious? Are you serious? Like, and it's an insult. It's a huge insult. Like it's like rubbing it in your face. But they still won't say it. They still won't say it. They still won't say this game is survivor sided. But they'll do stuff like that. They'll moonwalk in front of your face or do like stupid stuff. Like you shouldn't ever be in a position, unless like you're at exit gate or something like that. Obviously, but like mid chase, like are you serious? Like are you serious? Like that's just an insult. It really is an insult to the killer's face. Like especially someone who like argues and tries to push out the message of like just how unbalanced this game is for killer, and then you run into that, like it really just breaks your morale a little bit, honestly. It, it, it just it's just so bizarre. I really think that killers should be a threat. They should be scary when you see him, like, oh my god, he's right there. Not, oh, he's right there, hold on, quick, get the camera, I'm a moonwalk. Like, no. Like, no. No, you shouldn't be comfortable enough to do something that ridiculous in front of the killer.
I, I, and listen, saying that the game needs to be killer sided doesn't automatically translate to killers need a free win every round. And I know, as stupid as it sounds, there's going to be at least one person who comments on this video that says that. If you're already typing this on your keyboard, just stop. Because like that you should know that we don't mean that. It just means that the game shouldn't make the killer's experience so miserable simply on the basis of the killer they chose. Like I understand me having a lower tier killer, But there's no reason why any killer in this game should be borderline unplayable just because of a killer they chose.
Exactly.
And like, and killers don't want a free win either. I actually love being challenged and going against competent survivors, but I also just don't want matches where I lose to second chance bullshit every single round simply on the basis that they just brought a perk and it just countered any sort of skill or pressure I put on them for no reason other than the fact that they had that perk.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
like I have no true catch up mechanic to actually clap back from that. Or I shouldn't have to I shouldn't have to always just play the most broken killers in the game simply to feel like it's the only way I can actually win in high MMR. Now, granted, if you're in low MMR, none of this is really gonna matter since it's low MMR. Obviously, any killer is viable in low MMR. But if you're playing in like higher MMR with even like slightly competent survivors as like a lower tier killer, you could definitely win. But it's a lot more stressful for no reason. Like that when he says that he wants the game to be, or that the game should be killer sided, what he means is that basically how it's heavily in favor of survivors right now with second chance perks and all of this other stuff, pallet density. There should be a similar playing field, but for killers. The closest we ever had was the Gen Kick Eruption meta Call of Brine back in 2023, but that got removed because people complained about it too much, and it was a bit bullshit. I won't lie, but just something less of that effect, but similar idea that actually gives the killer like we don't want a free win, but we also want to have a fighting chance and feel like there's a possibility we could win instead of oh no they ran windows of opportunity it's over or oh no they're on comms like I shouldn't even try anymore because I know I'm just gonna get my shit rocked.
Yeah. Yeah. I thank you for clarifying on that too, because that's how I feel as well. Like I'm not asking for a free win. I'm just asking for a fair chance. My favorite matches are the ones where I feel like if I lose or if I win, but it was a hard win or a or like a well played win or a well played lose. Like those are the best matches. It's usually like when they're not running the meta perks too. Like those are the best matches. I feel like that's the my best moments in Dead by Daylight is when I feel like if I lost, but it was a good match and they did smart things like that's what makes Dead by Daylight fun for me, not me like, oh, I
No,
lost because of these perks or just the mechanics in this game is why I lost. Like it's just it's so demoralizing, but like
I completely agree with that.
yeah, yeah, like there's a difference. There really is a difference between losing because of skill and losing because of just perks and game mechanics. One feels completely different from the other. And I usually like to tell them in the end game chat too, like you guys did a phenomenal job. Oh my god, like I don't even mind losing. Don't even mind losing when I've just been absolutely outplayed by skillful players and not because of the perks they brought and the game mechanics in this game.
And listen, when it comes to game should be killer sided or at least favor the killer to some extent. This could be something as simple as, and this is an idea I've had for the longest time ever since they introduced boon perks in general. If survivors can reignite their hex perks, because that's essentially what a boon is, it's just a glorified survivor hex perk. If they could do this an infinite amount of times, why can't killers?
Oh my god, yes, yes. I've been
Like,
saying
and I
this.
know pentimento is a thing, but it's its own perk. Like I should be able to reignite, let's say, I don't know, crowd control or blood favor, or even just something like ruin. I should be able to reignite that three times maximum in the match before like it eventually blocks out.
I feel like there
I
should be no limit to that, really, because it
or
takes
yeah,
time
like even
away.
no like
You got to go out of your way to go get it, or because like blooms, they're so powerful. You can lose so quick to like
and they
a
were like
player bringing all
they
of them.
were absolute dog water when they first came out. I don't know if you've ever seen gameplay of old Circle of Healing on release or even in the PTB. It was so bullshit that the killer didn't even need to finish their M1 animation. before you got your health state back.
Oh my
So like
god.
they literally could just hit you, and in the middle of them like cleaning their blade or doing whatever, they're already back to being healthy.
Oh my god. I would riot. I would riot. I'm so
It
glad.
was
I'm so
so
glad I don't have to deal with that.
bad, dude. And there were people that legitimately believe that it should have never been. There are still people to this day who still think that it shouldn't have been touched.
I don't know. I honestly I just don't understand. I don't understand why. Like why like honestly like I made a video not too long ago like I'm tired of fighting with survivor mains saying this game is killer sided. Like can we like listen, can we just meet in the middle at least? Can we both sides can come together and just say like, "Hey, listen, I'm dealing with this. You're dealing with that. Let's meet somewhere in the middle." All right? Because you guys hate the way we play. You hate when we tunnel, you hate when we slug, you hate when we do all this other stuff, but you never ask why. You just say like dumb comments like low skill, no skill or whatever, get good at this game, blah blah blah. Like can we just have a decent honest conversation? I emphasize I emphasized honest because every time I try to have an honest conversation with survivor mains, they usually say really dumb things like you're just bad at the game. Just get good. Blah blah blah. No excuses for tunneling ever. Never. Like can we just meet in the middle, y'all? Can we like I promise you if you guys work with us, this game is going to be better for both of us. Because if you keep this faction war all going on, the game's going to get worse for both sides, all right? Because we're going to have to the killers are going to have to continue to evolve. To continue to evolve to stay competitive. We're gonna have to continue doing stuff that you guys don't like. Because honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you right now, I tunnel all the time, right? I tunnel all the time because I want to win, but I hate doing it. I don't think tunneling's fun for me. I hate doing it. It sucks for the survivor, and I don't even think it's fun. I don't even think tunneling is fun. I'd rather like spread it out, do something different, but I'm forced to do it because you guys won't work with us. Can we meet in the middle and make this game better for the both of us, please? You know, else it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. You're gonna keep complaining about the same things. Killers are gonna keep complaining about the same things. And the crazy part is, I feel like like at a certain point, like the biggest killer mains out there are just gonna give up or shell out, either or.
I mean, a majority of them already have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some big names out there, and sometimes they say the right thing. I'm not gonna mention who, but sometimes they say the right thing, and other times it's like, oh, very bad take,
Or they
very
just
bad take.
refuse to acknowledge it because they don't want to scare away their survivor audience.
Yeah, or they want to stay within the what was it, the Behaviors Club or whatever you call it.
Oh, the creator code?
Yeah, I saw a big
Oh,
guy got kicked out of that. That pissed me off because like he actually like before he got kicked out of that, he was actually like try to talk like professionally and like speak his mind but in a calm manner. And then after that, I just seen him like I feel like he's been like sort of on the warpath now. Like now he just doesn't care anymore. And it sucks that like we have to push us to this extent. That's another way to prove that this game is survivor sided because there could be survivor mains content creators can say whatever they want, but when a killer gets steps out of line, he gets kicked out of the creator club. Like, come on, like survivors, show me your facts, please. Like, or just I don't even want to. I don't want to fight with y'all. I don't. I don't. It's exhausting. It's tiring. Can we just come together as a community, please? It will. I promise you, it's gonna work out better for both sides. It's gonna be better for both sides if we can
I
just
just,
meet in the middle.
I just think the problem with this game in general is that it was built off, or actually no, not the game. The community's problem in general is that it was built entirely off of toxicity. The fact that toxicity is the thing this community is the most known for is a genuine issue. There is no reason why the community for this game, like the reason it's known isn't because of like how great the people are in it, or how like how interesting people can be in this community, or simply just how welcoming and people are to new players. It's the fact that it is filled with some of the most miserable people who play this game for no reason. Like they literally take everything too personal. I think the biggest problem with DVD is everyone takes it too personal. I feel like DVD is the only game I've played where people take things that happen in this game to an emotional and personal level. Like, and like they start to actually try and gaslight you into thinking you're a bad person for doing all this stuff that happened in a video game. Like even in For Honor, a game community which is also just as bad as DVD, there's still the at least the basic etiquette of like, if the player is actually more skilled than you or they made a good play, you can actually just be like, oh yeah, that was some good shit, or that like that you're still playing the game. Like you're not telling them, oh you're just win spamming. You're just a winner,
you know,
fucking ganker.
The crazy thing about For Honor is like when you get your butt kicked by an actual skillful player, you don't say like, "Oh, blah 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 blah." Honestly, you don't even say anything. You just shut the fuck up. Because what can you say when you've been outskilled? You know,
Exactly.
I don't know.
And then in DVD, like literally just winning is seen as a toxic, terrible thing, and I don't get it. And I'll talk about this more in another video. Um, but I have a theory that I've been having about the DVD community for a long time, and I think it's time YouTube finally heard it instead of just people I know. And but I want to save that for part two. So I think for now I'll just end it with this. If you are a Survivor main watching this video and you're not any of the things we talked about, if you're not entitled, you're not taking things personally, or even if you're just maybe like not the greatest and you get a little bit tilted about the game, but forget about it. Like yeah, that's like we're not saying that raging at video games is like a terrible evil thing. It's a completely normal thing. It's just people take it too far. It's when you take it outside of the game and actually try and put a genuine like emotional standpoint to it that is a problem. But if you don't do any of these things that we just talked about it right now, pretty much none of this applies to you. You all are amazing. If you're a killer player who disagrees with us, or even if you're a Survivor player, you're just a DVD player in general, tell us why you disagree respectfully, of course, in the comments down below. But I'll leave this out for Bones to end the video. I just want to say thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be a part of this, and I look forward to part two.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sanguivorous. Help me out here.
Yes,
Sanguivorous.
Sanguivores.
Oh, I said it right. Oh,
Uh,
look at me. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us today. Like seriously, honestly, this conversation has just gone so beautifully well. The way that you articulate things about this game and the way that you express certain topics is just an amazing input, and I love to have you here. You're welcome here anytime. As soon as you start streaming, they'll best believe I'm gonna put your name out there. Yeah, he's gonna be streaming soon, y'all. If you like what he hears, if you like what he says, just keep an eye out. He's gonna be streaming soon. Um, Thank you so much for being here today, and yeah, please, like guys, seriously, if you really believe that you disagree with the things we said today, please say so in the comments below. But be respectful, be respectful, and and those of you who are on either side of this game, killer survivor, if you agree or disagree, like just be kind to another. Like have an honest. That's the problem. We need to have honest conversations about this game and not lead it to like just like what Sanguivia said, just don't take it too personal. Like don't be so emotional about this game. um Especially like about winning and the other points he said as well. Like just can we just have a conversation, please? It's a game, I get it, but like it's also a game that a lot of us are so passionate about. It's a good game. I like this game. Not a lot right now. I don't like it a lot right now, but I like it. I love this game because I see the potential in it. I see the potential in this game. It has the potential to be so much more, but it's being held back by just division, and not being able to come together as a community. And I feel like that's the first step we need to take if we want anything to change. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for making it to the end of the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see y'all in part two. We have so many other topics to cover over, and I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see y'all next
I'm your
time.
co-host, and I'm your co-host, Sanguivoris, and consider this me signing off
All
for
right, y'all.
now.
Good night.